slang, which is snake in Afrikaans. So basically translates to tree snake. They are incredibly arboreal species. They spend a lot of time in the trees, and they actually, guys, I misidentified the bird's nest that it was. It was a little, actually, crombeck. I think, I can't really see it, but you can hear it trilling. It's actually following the snake, and all of this is happening less than probably about 5 feet from us. And obviously the snakes found that there was nothing in the nest, and it might go down to the ground. We're not going anywhere. We're going to stay right with the snake. He might escape us if he gets onto the ground, move into an area. We're not going to follow him, but he'll probably move. You can see he might go underneath that fallen down branch there. You can hear how upset the little bird is. That constant is alarm calling. Oh, isn't this incredible? Can you just see his back going over that log now? And you can see, even though he came down to where that little nest was, being a more arboreal species, he would much prefer to move between the trees than go to the ground and go to a new area to search for food. Incredibly thorny tree, and he's managing to move through between all the little hooked and straight thorns. I'm just going to move around so we don't lose him on the other side. It's amazing, that camouflage. I took my eyes off him for a second, and I can't see him anymore. Andre, do you still have him? Where is he? Has he gone up? This is such a strange experience, because now I feel like I'm blind. I mean, I picked him up so nicely earlier, and I cannot see him now. It's amazing. As soon as they keep still, they do tend to disappear. I'm just going to come. Okay, Andre's got him. Okay, look. If we might be able to follow the snake for quite a while, which would be really, really interesting, and not something you often get to do. And we'll just see if he's going to move out of this little buffalo thorn thicket. And quite often you might find them at night. You see them sleeping. They sleep right at the tops of trees. You can sometimes pick them up in the spotlights. Sorry about that. That was me trying to get underneath Jandre. I just bumped him slightly. And I've gone absolutely blind. I still can't see him. That's why I'm just trying to sneak in here. Okay. Which branch is he on, Jandre? No, that's fine. You stay with him. I must just my eyesight. Should have eaten that carrot that was sitting in the fridge. Is he still moving?
He's staring at me.
Staring right at you. Where's most of his body? Hiding.
He's on a hike with me.
eye height with you, second or third. Look at that eye. I mean, and there's that wonderful saying about reptilian stillness. And look at that. And they are can be incredibly still when they need to be. And John is doing a sterling job keeping that still handheld. Look at that. That is incredible. I mean, it's not very often you get to see a snake in the wild for this long. Normally they dash away at high speed. You can still hear the birds around. And John just asked me, sorry guys, his hat got caught in the thorn tree. I'm just going to try remove it. There we go. So we're definitely going to stay. I'm very interested to see whether the snake moves or it carries on. It's going to sort of wait it out in this buffalo thorn. So it's been absolutely incredible. We're still with the snake. There's still it looks like a crombeck, which is a tiny little bird species. That could be that crombeck's nest. Called mobbing. And we've been enjoying probably one of the best spectacular. And now Jean-Andre has got an ant crawling on the snake, or right next to the snake. Through this mass of thorns without its skin being impaled. Well, those scales are very, very smooth and almost silky. So it's able to there's nothing for the thorn to hook in. I mean, it'd be very unlikely for a thorn to hook in the gap between the scales. They're so tightly packed. And you can see that mouth there, and just see it. Oh, there we go, a little bit of movement. Almost looks like he's shaking his head at us. So, the snake is probably just 1.2 meters long. Probably almost about as long as my stick without the top part of it. And he's just sitting there. I mean, to give you an idea, he is 2-3 feet from Jean-Andre. Bulge. Oh, I'm stuck in the thorn bush again. And it is possible he has eaten something. Nothing too big. So the bulge is probably to get a baby crombeck, and that's why the birds were going so ballistic. But for me, that large eye of a boomslang is just one of the most incredible. It's almost like he's almost a little bit curious about us. It's tasting and sensing things around. It's picking up different information. Oh, this is incredible. I mean, we are literally 3.5, not even 3 foot from the snake. And he's carrying on like we're not even. He goes past the thorns there. And we'll see now when his body comes close to a thorn again. I mean, he's right on a thorn, and he's just not getting impaled. The thorn just slides over the body. And look at that. So, those very big eyes, which are a very distinct feature of a boomslang. Donna was wondering, does that mean they are more active at night? Actually, Donna, not. A boomslang is very much a diurnal snake species. They might move around a bit at night, but majority of the time, almost all their hunting in that is daytime. And that big eye could be used for moving around and spotting little bits of movement in nests or birds. I mean, they are quite and very much a sort of sneak attack predator. They don't pounce or use their speed or anything to get there. Because this is definitely one of the best snake sightings I've had in my 32 years in the bush. Quite often they move away very quickly. Said most snakes are more scared of us than we are of them. It's a very, very beautiful snake. Slow, methodical movement. It almost looks like it might want to go back and check that nest again. I wonder if it's a baby crombec in its belly. So, with a lot of reptiles, and specifically snakes, gender is one of the more difficult things to tell. And the reason I'm able to say quite confidently that this is a male boomslang is because the female is gunmetal grey. Cindy, I hope that helps. And the male is green, and you do see those sort of dark markings in between, moving right up to the top of the tree. It might be trying to move to the next tree. Right up. It could also just stop up there and decide that that's a good spot to rest. And I said, you do find them occasionally in the spotlight at night, sleeping right up the top of a tree like this. And obviously, those thorns do offer quite a bit of protection to the snake. So, on that little nest we saw the snake raid earlier. Joanne from Arizona is saying it could be a penduline tit nest. It could be, but I don't think it is. I think it is a crombec nest. A penduline tit nest has a fake entrance. And is very distinct, very similar, but slightly different shape. And this has got a single entrance. When I first originally saw it, I thought it also might be a little sunbird's nest. They also build very similar nests to that. It looks like the snake might cross to the next tree. From Texas is wondering, do they do that to get better depth perception? Jeffrey, I'm afraid I can't be 100% sure on that. Sometimes I know certain animals do it to try entice movement from another Jeffrey, so just that little bit of movement gets a reaction, but I'm not sure whether it's to get better depth perception, but hopefully I will try to find out for you. There we go. There we go. So guys, we're going to keep a very close eye who's at the Arathusa waterhole.
And what an incredible festival of interesting things the bush has been treating us to. Been watching the hippos at the back. The one, they're all wearing waterweed islands, and I will tell you something about them. That this waterweed that's growing here is thick enough for a legavan or a water monitor to walk all the way across. And the reason I know that is that VM and myself have just spent the entire time watching them to another hippo that is wearing a... Oh, there's two there. There's three there. That's amazing. They all blended into one. There. There we go. Thank you, Ben. Here's our little baby hippo who is doing so well. Absolutely adorable. We're watching her bob up and down all the time. She has been nicknamed Lily by one of our regular younger viewers. She's absolutely adorable. Anyway, well, it's been fun to explore, but I've got to head out further into Arathusa. So from one waterhole to the next, let's have a look at the Djuma waterhole from the sky.
Well, this time last year I was able to look at that waterhole and see hippo in there. I'd see elephants come down every afternoon to drink, buffalo wallowing in there on the sides of the waterhole, lion and leopard. Everything, wild dog coming down to that waterhole that we're looking at right now. The dry pan, Viatella dam or waterhole there. To the bottom of your screen, or in the middle of the screen right now, there's a small pool there or pond that has a water supply from the lodge, and there's a creature in there that is absolutely fantastic, but he's all alone at the moment, and he's in a very, very small pool. It is a hippo, and carrying on from Jamie's hippos there, the complete opposite to where they are. A lot of water left in there and a lot of hippo. This sole or solitary bull at the moment, or lone bull I should say, he was quite badly injured, but he's now recovering, and hippos have this incredible ability to recover very, very quickly when they get wounded from either a battle or an accident, or even an encounter with a predator outside the water. But he seems to be coming on quite well. And looking down there, we can see him, and he There's a situation that happens down there in those. The feces and urine from the hippo gets the pond into a state called eutrophication. Now, eutrophication means that there will be a toxic bloom of algae that will eventuate, and it has been recorded, where lion, different antelope, buffalo is where the hippos actually have to be translocated or captured and moved to another pond. Hopefully that's not going to happen there. Anyway, we're going to go and just go up there and have a little look down one more time. And it's a fantastic tool. I love to call it a tool because it's something that gives us the ability to. So beautiful, but hopefully in the next few weeks we're going to get some serious downpours, and Viatella Dam there will be getting some serious water in it as well. So we might cross back over to Brent with that incredible, absolutely magnificent sighting, and I have to agree with him, the most incredible snake boomslang sighting I've ever seen, and really, really incredible stuff. Let's see what he's up to.
So he's on the move again. He's come right down to near the base of the tree. He is heading back towards that nest again. Maybe there's eggs in there. Sort of keeps glancing back, wondering what we're going to do. The 9 inches from the nest. And making a very cautious approach of the nest. Oh, don't know what happened there. It looked like he got little frights. You can just see, isn't that absolutely stunning? The light on his eye there for a second. He's going down to the nest. His head's approaching. He's going in the nest. A single baby on that bulge in his belly. But now he's actually coming right towards us again. And he's again right next to us we are, and how incredibly relaxed the snake is. Oh, he is absolutely gorgeous. See his tongue flicking, and you see a millisecond longer and almost stiffens. On the search for food at the moment, and probably been hibernating for the majority of and there he goes again. Hey, little guy. And probably far more that we haven't pushed any pressure on the snake that he's behaving like this close to us. And we've just kept our distance. He's coming down to ground right next to me. Isn't this? So we're going to try follow him as he moves on hunting. This is definitely the first time I've ever gone on a hunt with a snake. So he's on the ground. While he's on the ground, I'm going to give him a bit more space. We don't want to scare him. And he's moving through to the next set of bushes. And I'm just going to have to move a little bit quickly. I don't want to lose sight, because you saw how difficult it can be once you lose sight to find him again. So he was making his way towards here. I just have to check carefully now. Where did he go? Did he go up, or did he carry on along the ground? I'm just going to pop around the other side of this bush, see if I can see. Sometimes it's just good to just stand still and stare. There we go. And pick up that tiny little bit of movement. Isn't this wonderful? So I just got that little bit of movement. He was going into this big thorny acacia next. We just want to watch the ground in front. Oh. Obviously we don't want to disturb. So just going to sit and wait here now. I got that little bit of movement going towards this. So now I'm going to keep still and see if we can pick up any more movement. Just check every little branch so carefully. Looks just like another branch. Quite often they will zigzag and up, so we're just going to check this little spike thorn again quickly. Make sure it hasn't come up. So, as I was saying, this is possibly one of the most exciting snake sightings I've had in my 32 years in the bush. And Zuki in New Mexico said this is one of their top 10 safari live sightings. Zuki, me too. This is absolutely incredible. Okay, so unfortunately, I have lost sight, but we just want to double check carefully every little branch. I'm going to give it another 2 minutes. And if we don't find him again in the next 2 minutes, we will move along. But I'm just going to go through this gap here quickly and have a closer look. So the last place I picked up a little bit of movement was going that I'm going to get to in a moment. it is possible it could have gone into one of these holes. I mean, although they are primarily arboreal, they will definitely go into these holes as well. So it was incredible. He came down onto the ground less than a meter from me and just slowly moved through into this sort of broken thickets here. Unfortunately, we lost sight of him. I think he might have gone into one of these holes, but we're just stopping here and checking very carefully if we can find him again. And there's a wonderful, wonderful little saying I learned, which I had to use many times in my life. It was from my art teacher when I was quite young, and he was my favorite teacher. He was also a fly fisherman. And I always tend to get really excited and run around like a madman. And he said, he wrote down on a piece of paper in his beautifully elegant handwriting, "Festa lenta," which means rush slowly. And I've always rush slowly. And I've always, when I start getting too excited, always just remember that little saying. And sometimes if you just slow down, it can really help you in spotting the snake in this circumstance. Okay. So I think he has made his escape quite well, and I don't want to start sort of really moving around too much. We've had such an incredible sighting from him, and there would be no need to disturb him after that, and that was amazing. I'm just going to move through the thorn bush, and while we do that, there are certain bird species that prey on snakes. No feathers, so I think the most part there, the thick scales on those snake eagles. And another bird that really likes snakes, like secretary birds, they're also incredibly quick. They kick, and they're able to kill the snakes like that. And then ground hornbill, he will actually grab. They're incredibly, for a big bird, incredibly quick. And there's a wonderful folklore about it, but I will tell you about that a little bit later. But we're going to cross back across to Jamie and see what she's been up to.
That's definitely one of my favorite snakes out here. Definitely top 5. I think that they are probably one of the most beautiful that we have. Whilst Brent has been following Britain, I've never been to before. I'm in the far northwestern corner and exploring here, and so far it's proved to be quite a beautiful journey. Some really stunning views, and because it's drainage lines, the foliage is thick and green and beautiful. What I am doing is I've just picked up, just before Brent came across, or sent you across to me, picked up some male leopard tracks coming into the drainage line, and it looks like they're going straight towards Red Dam. That is, of course, if I'm where I think I am. I don't want to just double check. Would be that it is Tingana, but you never know because we're right on the boundary of his territory with the Anderson male. Definitely worth checking carefully and going fairly slowly. I've seen Tingana somewhere here before when I first started working here. Unfortunately, it was when I was very, very new and I was still completely unfamiliar with the road names. Let's go and have a look and see what we can find at Red Dam. And then after that, I'm going to head straight back towards the Shimungwes. It's getting a little bit cooler. The sun is starting to go down, and they should be getting up and about soon. And from what I could see, they were looking very, very hungry. it'll be nice to follow them for this evening and see what they get up to. Girls. Peekaboo. Let's try and find a nice position. Most of what's around them is a silver cluster leaf, and silver cluster leaves aren't really the best food for browsers. They're very, very astringent. She's got interesting stripes as well. It's like she's missing one in the middle of her back. She's quite hidden away, but I'm going to shift forward a little bit and maybe we can see there's also a teenage boy with them. Hello, girl. Peekaboo. Poking her head out around a buffalo thorn. Definitely one of the most graceful and elegant. There's that boy. Just starting to get his horns. He's probably only about a year or so old. He hasn't got that thick neck that the mature bulls start to develop. And just those tiny horns. And of course, most of you will be familiar with what an adult kudu bull looks like, with its spiraling, magnificent head of horns. And the consequence of that is, as they keep growing throughout the kudu's lifespan, the kudu's neck weight of that head of horns. Alright guys, they're moving off into quite thick bush. Now, I think that's probably the best view we're going to get for now. The female's ears are turned back. They've almost done a complete 180, and that's because at the moment she's looking away from me, but she knows I'm there. So every now and again she twitches. It's a brilliant way of double checking whatever the threat is. So she wants to keep not an eye on us, she basically wants to keep an ear on us and just make sure that we don't get up to any mischief, but she still wants to stop, because I think if I reverse now, this little female is going to run away. Right, girl. She's going to move away from us. Also, probably about the same age as that male. Just past that year-old mark. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 kudu that have all moved past us. Beautifully elegant antelope. For him, not snack size, a perfect meal size for him. They better keep their eyes and ears out. Whilst I regain my bearings and figure out where we are, I believe that. Have a look at what he's seeing.
So we're back with the pugnacious ants, and for a punishment, because I lost that snake, Jean-Andre has recommended that I stand and give you a true explanation of why they're called pugnacious ants. They are incredibly pugnacious. So if you step anywhere near their hole and they feel those ow vibrations, they actually swarm your feet, or swarm. I mean, I've even seen them upset buffalo when buffalo have been lying down. They're just literally so many pugnacious ants that are to bite a buffalo. But the most interesting thing about a pugnacious ant is the fact and for those who don't know what a pangolin is, it is a scaly anteater. It is an incredible creature. Out in this beautiful summer weather, it is quite warm, but that's the way I like it, much better than being cold. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm actually walking now, but they're actually still. So between the snakes and the ants, we haven't actually walked that far. We're going to sneak back past where we started at the rubbing post. So our original plan was to duck down into the riverbed. I heard from the tracking team that there was reports of leopard tracks heading into this area. And we did hear a squirrel alarming in the distance. So we're going to always approach really carefully as we go towards drainage lines. There's some thickets. There's some nice mud wallows here. There's that rubbing post. So we're losing our ears, concentrating, because there could be buffalo bulls in this area. It is a favorite haunt. Have learned how to deal with and the branches have just basically changed the direction and they're growing straight up. And you'll find that a lot. And this is one of my favorite acacias we get in this area. It's called a red. Let's go see what's in the drainage line. There's just something incredible about being on foot. I mean, your senses are heightened. Every little movement, every little sound, every little smell just becomes that much more magnified. So just ahead of us here, in this very drainage line, is the first leopard it was the place I tracked my first leopard ever on foot after arriving at Safari Live. And it was Kunuma who had killed a bushbuck. And he hoisted it into a tambusi tree. And I'm hoping this drainage line provides us a little bit more leopard luck. So I did my best impression at a bit of, I don't know what you would call that. I wouldn't say I was artful.
Oh, guys, we've just interrupted a very serious Franklin confrontation. I'm going to be quiet because the sound effects are the best part of this. Oh, missed him. That was a pretty fancy duck. Oh, into the branch. These guys are slightly perturbed by our presence. Crested Franklin having a very serious argument. And it seems to me like the one on the left is... Oh, they're all shouting now. Come on, guys, come back towards the open area. That was amazing to see. And actually, fights between male Franklin can get fairly savage. They've got a spur that you might be lucky enough to see on the back of their ankles. And they use that to tackle each other. That's why you were seeing them every time they met each other. It was with feet first, trying to keep those dangerous spurs away from the other Franklin, or away from themselves. That was amazing to see. Some serious argument happening there, but still stopping to pick at the ground whilst they were doing it. And I'm not sure if that's part of the display or if they get hungry halfway through. Gotta roll forward to see. I think that might be over. I think that was it. And peace now reigns in the Franklin world. Oh, here we go. Gotta roll forward.